Just to give you guys some points, in this video I will talk about all the elements of driving test, what happens during driving test, most common mistakes people make, and of course my story, why I did not pass from the first try and what I have done differently on the second attempt. Closer the day of test was coming, the more anxious I got, and the week before the test I was just surfing the Facebook and Reddit threads.
Internet does not lie.
And I can tell you I found some pretty helpful stuff. I was confident in my driving skills, but unfortunately skill is not everything when it comes to passing the test. In many cases it comes down to the exact sensor you get, and it's the person who's gonna sit with you in the car and examine you. This person can be strict to the point that the passing of the test is almost impossible, and sometimes it will be easier. Even if there is a few mistakes, sensor is going to look how you interact with other drivers, that you see your mistakes and get yourself out of the situation. Exactly this part of the test, it's pure luck, because you get your instructor randomly, but we can work with the other factors. The only rule that applies here is that if you already fail one time and you get the same instructor on your second try, you have the right to change if you don't want to drive with the same person again. Now let's talk about elements of the test. Your driving test is divided on 3 parts. First part is 2 security questions about car, then it's driving part itself, and after that you will have a little chit chat about your performance with the instructor. All these parts have their own nuances and all of them influence the outcome. At the first part you will get 2 security questions that will be randomly chosen by the computer, and usually they are not difficult. Basically they involve safety checks or general car maintenance questions. So don't be scared. You get a list of questions from your driving school, and I can also attach the list down below in the description if you would need it. I get questions about showing where the engine lamp on the panel and where is the emergency light button, in what cases you use it. My friends got questions about fog lights, where they are in the car and how to turn them on, where the security vest laying, and also, for example, show the lamp for ABC system and if it's safe to drive when the lamp is on. This is not make it or break it situation, and if you don't answer these questions it won't be an automatic failure. But if your driving part is questionable, then the right answers might wait for a positive outcome. So what will happen when you drive? After you answer a question, instructor will tell you to prepare yourself for driving. He looks at the way you start the car, that you check that mirror is in right positions, that you have belt on, and that your seat is adjusted for comfortable driving. The route for the test will be randomly chosen by Vigvesen's computer again, and the drive takes about 1 hour. After you drive out of the traffic station, instructor tells you where to go. Sometimes it will be something like take left or right on the next intersection, or drive towards Oslo, or head towards blah blah blah. So if you are not sure, you are allowed to ask directions again, but you cannot ask about the rules itself, what you can or cannot do. You follow the signs until the instructor tells you to do something else. Don't worry if you take the wrong turn or misunderstand where to go, just stay calm and drive accordingly to the rules. The instructor will tell you the next directions to bring you back to the road again. During your driving you will have 3 different tasks to perform, and it's parking, turning around, and driving in reverse. Parking usually done on the parking lot of some grocery store or other store, maybe a petrol station, and it can be also done at the traffic station itself. Just so you know, they expect you to park with reverse gear. The turning around and driving in reverse, you usually perform in some quiet neighborhood and the area where it's like 30 speed limit. If you don't manage to park good or perform another task, it is also not going to determine if you pass your test or not. Like with the first security question, it's a nice addition if you do all good, and it will wait in if the instructor is not sure how to rate you. Remember that instructor is also looking at the way you pull back to the traffic station, how you turn off the car, how you leave car after you stop. And the third part of the exam, I will say it's a third part, but officially it's not. The instructor will ask you, how do you feel about your performance? The best strategy is to note all your mistakes, because instructor have seen them anyways, and it will show that you acknowledge that you were wrong somewhere. I hope this video is useful for you so far, and if you still didn't subscribe, do that. It will mean a world to me and will motivate me to make more of the helpful videos for you guys. Let's start with mistakes that gives you automatic failure. This will be any accidents or breaking of the priority rules. For example, if someone has to brake for you or you forget to yield to the car on your right side, that will be counted as automatic failure. So watch out the sign for the main road, and where is none, assume that you have to brake for people that coming from your right side. Be careful on the roundabouts, do not cut anyone. It's better to be too slow than too fast. Second mistake is not giving priority to ambulance, police or fire trucks that use their signals. In this case, you will have to pull to the side and stop completely. I repeat, do not roll, but pull to the side and stop completely. My friend failed his first attempt due to that situation. Also remember about priority for buses, and especially be cautious about buses that's standing on a bus stop, because the people exiting might want to cross the road. The next mistake is to break the speed limit. This also will be an automatic fail if you don't drive with the right speed. In cases where you adjust yourself very quick after realizing that your speed, it will be not so critical, and you better acknowledge it and say, oops, here I needed to be slower. Here I will include situation when you can't hold a normal pace and your speed goes up and down all the time. Instructor will think that you don't train enough on how to handle the car itself. Another common mistake is when you repeatedly forget to use your blinkers, your mirrors, or forget to look in the blind zones. If you haven't done it one time, it's all fine, but if you constantly don't look around yourself in the mirrors when it's needed, then you will most likely fail. When you catch yourself in the moment, it's better to say it out loud, like, oops, here I should have used the blinker or the signal. It's better to acknowledge it than hope that the instructor will not see it. Don't forget to look at your mirror and the blind zone if you have bicycle road next to you, especially when you turn to the right. In general, remember that there is a lot of bicyclists, especially in summer, especially in the cities. Another mistake is not eco-friendly driving. Norwegians are very busy about environmental driving. This includes to slow down in advance when you see that the traffic slows down, or it's a red light, or in front of you is a roundabout. Brake gently, avoid too much braking and acceleration. In other words, drive like a grandma. It's easier to justify why you were slow than why you drive too fast in many cases. You can always blame weather conditions or poor sight. One more mistake that people make, especially when they want to exchange their existing driver license, is that they don't keep both hands on the steering wheel. Instructor will look at all the times that you have both hands on the steering wheel in the right position and that you work correctly with the steering wheel. Have a good margin from the cars on highways or the roads with higher speed limits. If you come too close to the car in situation when you merge to highway, then say it out loud. Also that you saw that it was too close. Don't hang behind the big trucks. Either slow down or drive past it. Trucks have a lot of blind spots and it will give you a poor sight. The next mistake is driving past stop sign. Don't drive past stop sign. If you took the wrong turn and you saw that there is a sign that says that you cannot drive inside, then just stop the car, back slowly and turn around as careful as possible. If you don't drive past the stop sign, you haven't broke the rule. The other mistake is allowed to make. We not always can predict some stuff, so the main thing is how you get out of the situation. My main advice is to drive safe but confident. If you constantly drive slower than the speed limit, an instructor will criticize you for breaking flow of the traffic. So it's all about the balance. Be extremely cautious about blind corners. Give pedestrians and cyclists plenty of space, especially on the crosswalks. Wait for people to cross, don't try to roll next to them. Drive very careful in the residential areas, like you're expecting a car to come out at you at any time. But at the same time, if you drive behind a tractor, let's say, and the road ahead is clear, just overtake it if it's possible. Don't hesitate. Instructor will expect you to drive with the flow. So if the speed limit and conditions allow and other cars drive with the good pace, you also should keep it and not slow down everyone. If you're still here with me now, it's the time for a story. And I can say that the first time I was very confident and I was not so stressed about driving itself. I was in a good mood, it was a good day. And as I sat in the car, I answered the security questions correctly. We pulled out of the traffic station. I got pretty easy route, actually. It was the road that I drive many times. Only the thing on the way was that I parked poorly because of the place where I was supposed to park. It was the little grocery store with very few parking spaces and they were all busy except for one. And as you're coming from the main road, it's impossible kind of to turn around. So I just parked with my front and I did it very poorly in general. So here I was aware that I parked not good, but I knew that it will not be an automatic failure if I didn't perform this task good. So we drive around, I drive the small roads, I merge into highways, I was confident in all roundabouts, I drive carefully as I thought, and only one mistake that I could note myself is that when I was merging to the highway as we drive back, I catch the line, full line with my back wheels. So there is a punctual line when you can merge into highway and I did it a little bit too quickly. So I didn't completely drive past it, but I tackled it with my back wheels. So I note that. And when we came back to the traffic station, I was actually super confident that I passed the test, but the teacher asked me what I thought I did wrong. I noted this thing about parking and about the line on the highway, and he said yes, but also he noted that I merged into one road with very little margin to another car, which I don't remember honestly. It was a busy day and it was pretty tight traffic, so I don't know, I didn't notice that I was kissing someone in the back of the car or anything, and he said that was not very safe. Also, the case he built on was the fact that I broke a priority on the roundabout, which I didn't in my opinion, but again it was my word versus his, and there was no camera in the car to prove that I've done something wrong or not. The case was like this, that it was a big roundabout with two lines. It was two big speed roads merging into this roundabout with my first exit to the highway. So as I was driving, I needed to just take the first exit to the highway, and there was another car driving down to this roundabout, and this roundabout is very huge, so I had a good place. And what the instructor said in in the end is that the car had to brake for me and that I should have waited for him. But it was a busy traffic there, it was a lot of cars, and the first exit to your right is just the easiest and fastest exit you can take, especially when the car is not even halfway into the roundabout. So I didn't note it as a mistake, because I would notice if somebody had to brake for me or if I cut someone, but I didn't notice that. And yeah, there is cases where of course you naturally need to slow down in a roundabout when somebody is driving, but I was just trying to keep a good flow. And afterwards my driving teacher said, Maria, better you had just to stop, you know, you had to give him a way to go. And there I understood that in next time I should drive as cautious as possible. And he built a whole case on this, plus the bad parking, and in general he just wrote that I was not driving eco-friendly and I was accelerating and braking too much. So he wrote that in general he feels that I'm not safe in traffic and I'm not having a good interactions with other cars, and I look too little at what's happening around me, which was not the case. The second attempt I did a month after, and mind you, I didn't train in this month. It was month of December, which had the holidays, Christmas holidays and New Year holidays. I booked my time. By the way, you have 4 weeks of quarantine, and so I booked my time for end of January. With the second attempt, I was very worried. I was 7 months pregnant and I was so exhausted, and I realized that if I don't pass it now, then I just need to let it be and give birth, and then I can try again. So for me it was make it or break it situation. And as instructor was coming to the car, my driving teacher told me like, yes, that's the good one, that's the kind one. And I forgot to say that this instructor that I got first time after I exit the car, my driving teacher said that this is the instructor that has a very little rate, very low rate of people who passing with him. So usually there is 1 or 2 instructors who keep it very strict. So it's just, as I say in the beginning of video, how lucky you are with your instructor. The second time the man was more nice. We were chit-chatting a little bit while we were driving, and I got a very difficult road this time when we were driving straight into Oslo. First time I was driving into the small cities, so we drive out of the Oslo, and it was a lot of just the big roads, empty roads, big roundabouts, so it was very free. And this time I was driving straight into one area of Oslo where, first of all, I didn't even try to drive there with my teacher because we were just never in this area. It was a lot of difficult roundabouts with a lot of signs, and it was super overwhelming. I was trying to drive nicely and slower, trying to understand where I need to go, because he was telling me just to follow sign here and there. And I think I did a couple of mistakes with the directions, but as I drive he just told me to take the left here or take the right here so we can come back to the route, so that was not a big problem. And he saw that I was very stressed. Half an hour into our driving, it was a very low sun this day. I had the sunglasses, he had the sunglasses on, but there was such a low sun that sunglasses just not helping you and you cannot see anything. There was a road I was driving. As I drive this road, I saw the sign which says that my road is main and that we're gonna merge with another road that should yield from me. I was just driving, and as the other road was merging, there was truck driving in parallel to me to merge to the same road, and I didn't slow down, I didn't stop, and my instructor had to brake for me. I understood it later that I didn't broke any rules, but in the moment I was doubting myself and thought, that's it. I failed because he had to brake for me, and I read so much that if instructor has to brake for you, then it's an automatic fail. The rest of the way I was super sad. I was just trying to get back because I knew that there is no point to try, and I didn't do any mistakes. I was just confidently slowly driving back, but I had in the back of my mind that I had to just go and spend a lot of money and time again on the third attempt. When we came back to the station, he asked me how do I feel about my performance, and I just said that it was...
I didn't realise it could be this bad. Thank you.
And he said to me, no, I actually think that you drove pretty good and that you have a very good interactions with other drivers. You're very cautious about coming to roundabouts. You use mirrors and you look at the blind zones. And so he said that he thinks that I'm safe to continue my training just on my own. I told him that I might not drive for some time because I'm pregnant and I'm just not so focused anymore. And he said that I should not do that and I actually should take my first drive alone as soon as possible. And he said it's such a nice feeling when you can just sit in the car alone and just take a drive around and enjoy this victory. So that was two very different experiences that I had. In the first case, I was super confident and I was so sure that I drive so good and that I passed. And then I got a big slap on my face. And the second time I was completely doubting myself. I was stressed. I was devastated when he had to brake for me. But it turned out that I did everything great. Maybe he was just sorry for me, because all the way I was ranting that I have 3 kids and I'm going to move and that I really need a car and that is a force on the way. I cannot let this happen, that I don't have a driver license. Maybe he just felt sorry for me. He was a very good person. I don't know. So, like this, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and share your experience about your test, share your tips, how you prepared and maybe what situations happened with you on the road. I wish you all a good day and see you in the next one.